Okay, so picture this. You're a kid at the beach and you're having a good time, playing in the sand, playing in the water. Adults look on. All of a sudden, you see your mom in the horizon. You run towards her. She straps you into the car and she tells you not to move no matter what. You agree because, well, you're a little kid and this is your mom. So you sit there. As the heat starts beating down upon your face, you wonder where your mom is. Until the window right beside you cracks open. Muscular arms drifts towards you, clinging onto your body, grappling you, and pulling you into the window. You awake, covered in sweat, as you have just relived the worst experience of your life. Now, if you're thinking, what the fuck? Welcome to I Love Amy. Okay, so before we jump into Amy's very, very sad life, I want to give you some context. The reason why I started this video by remaking the car scene is because, while previous chapters have darker aspects, this was the first time it was directly illustrated to the audience, effectively giving me that what the fuck moment. See, I found I Love Amy because, much like every other sexually confused trans girl, I like Yuri and GL comics. So when I saw some rando recommended under a post looking for Bully Yuri, okay guys, I swear I'm not weird, okay, please. What I expected was something like Ami-chan's Diary or anime bullying, where it's just like teasing because the bully character actually likes the main character but is too afraid to admit it, and it's not actually seriously harmful or leave any psychological effects, and they actually make a really cute couple. But Shrek, Donkey said, we can't do this. You're married, I'm married. What if Fiona and the dragon finds out? And Shrek looks deep into his companion's eyes. Like that's ever going to happen, he said with a grin. So when I got a horror series instead, I became more intrigued. You see, one of my favorite feelings in the world is being tricked into seeing something unsettling or disturbing. It rarely ever happens nowadays, with videos usually notifying you if something is, well, you know, that. And I am fully aware that by declaring to the YouTube heavens that I Love Amy is horror, or at least has heavy horror aspects, I am undoubtedly ruining that shock experience for others like me. To that I say, I'm not sorry. So without further ado, let's get into the world of I Love Amy. Now, we could start at the first chapter like a normal person, but not only is Bibi not a normal person, but I believe we need to focus on the titular character, Amy Lee. Amy Lee is a girl who has no friends, no real goal in life, and is covered head to toe in bandages and band-aids, and just bruises. When she was a little girl, her mother did something very bad. And if that sounds vague, that's because it's purposefully vague as to what happened on the beach that day. But, as illustrated, it was not very good. These events leave a harsh mental scar on her psyche, still not knowing how to process what happened to her as a child. Everyone views her as weak because she has no self-esteem and take advantage of her kindness, which has led to her pushing away the one person who really cared for her. To describe Amy in one word, she's tired. Not only because she's often shown slumped over like she's had a bad night of sleep, but because she really doesn't care if people use her or not. She's tired with life. This is the Amy Lee we meet at the beginning of the story, a broken, tired girl who has no aspirations or goals, and this makes her the perfect target for Bibi Redden. You drive to school knowing that today will be the day that Peter finally falls head over heels for you. Sure, everyone calls you crazy and you have no actual friends aside from your buddy Snowball, but who really cares about that stuff? And once you get Peter wrapped around your finger, then you can keep him in a jar forever and ever and ever, and he'll always love you, and if he doesn't, then he'll learn to love you, and... Wait, that's Peter, but who is he talking to? Could it possibly be that he's talking to someone other than you? Does that girl want to steal Peter away from you? That bitch! You talk to her. You ask her to be friends. You lure her to your house. You set up a fitting way to end this bitch's miserable life. Until something strange happens. She begins to open up to you. And before you know it, you're getting along. And then, for the first time in years, you end up making a friend. This is how Beatrice Redden is introduced to us, or Bibi for short. She's this psychopathic monster who was 2 seconds away from murdering Amy, but she's much more than that. On one hand, she's a textbook yandere with a torture chamber in her basement, and on the other hand, she's a deeply lonely person who craves the affection she was denied as a child. She lives in a big, empty house that we never see outside of silhouette. Everyone fears her for her psychotic tendencies, and yet she found a girl too weak-willed to run away. Bibi first meets Amy. She uses her inability to say no to get closer to Peter, both using her as a friend for affection and using her as her lackey. I want to be clear here. Bibi is abusive. Even though Bibi spends time with Amy watching movies and helping her make pies, her one goal in life, for the time being, is Peter. She views Amy as a stepping stone to that goal, the fairy godmother who will take her to her Prince Charming. These antics catch the attention of Camilla, the popular girl with a vendetta against Amy. Or so it seems, because Amy and Camilla were actually really close childhood friends until Camilla's abrasive attitude and Amy's inability to cope with her trauma led to them splitting apart. Now Camilla is in the role of an overprotective friend who tries whatever she can to stop Bibi from hurting Amy. But from Amy's perspective, Camilla, this person who has distanced herself from Amy, is taking away her only friend. Camilla's overprotective nature being seen as bullying in Amy's eyes. It's actually commendable how realistic this feels. Bullying in media is often some bad person doing a bad thing, but people are more complicated than that. In the real world, jokes and teasing might be interpreted as bullying by the person it happens to. And here we see the opposite. Camilla trying to help her friend, but in reality, she's isolating Amy even more. This ultimately leading to Camilla setting Bibi up with Peter on the condition that she leave Amy alone. This, in Amy's eyes, proves that Camilla hates her. Bibi, of course, accepts this, leaving Amy alone in the same desolate pit of despair that she was before. Now here I think most of you get the point. This story is about a broken person choosing an abuser out of their feelings for them over someone who actually cares for them. That's why this video is called I Love Amy is a story about pain. Because, dear God, is this painful? And you're probably saying, wow, that was a long story. Glad you gave us the Spark Notes version. No, that was just the first 8 chapters. That's right, all that tension and conflict happens in 8 chapters. And let me tell you, it gets worse. Bibi, realizing that Amy is her only friend, picks her up and activates her trauma around cars unknowingly. This starts the next phase of Bibi and Amy's relationship. Twisted romance. Bibi, realizing that she could use her friend as a mock date, decides to drag Amy onto it, having Amy pretends to be Peter, and if she doesn't abide by what Peter would do, well, she just needs to abide by what Peter would do. Oh, and I haven't really mentioned it up till now, but Amy has a massive crush on Bibi, and on their mock date, Bibi realizes that Amy both likes women and probably likes her, because Amy is very bad at hiding things. And on this date, Amy capitulates to what Bibi wants entirely and wholeheartedly, accepting that Bibi is a bad person and will likely do bad things to her. There's this amazing scene where Bibi pushes Amy into the water, and Amy struggles to get back out, remembering the time when she was a child. And Bibi asks her, "Why won't you push me in the water?" And Amy responds, "Because I know you wouldn't like it." Bibi chuckles and says, "That's right." Jesus Christ, Amy, run away, please. I can't. So, as the would-be couple sits on the beach watching the sunset, Bibi talks about what Peter would likely do in this situation. And so, she almost forcibly kisses Amy. Amy at first into it because, her crush is trying to kiss her, then tries to stop her. Which doesn't bode well for Amy, who gets kidnapped and tied up in a murder dungeon. Amy is, of course, freaked out because she's in a dungeon that has blood everywhere. Bibi eventually lets Amy go and apologizes and opens up to her about her trauma, and that her once kind uncle, a kind and friendly father figure, turned out to be cold and distant after an incident. Bibi tells Amy how she killed her pet rabbit by feeding him chocolate. She now keeps him in a specimen jar so that he'll always love her, even telling Amy that if she were to die, she would also keep her in a jar. As Amy drifts to sleep, Bibi recalls on how her dog didn't fit into a jar, so she cut him into pieces. This whole date arc meaning that Bibi views Amy as a pet and nothing more. And if you're thinking, "Wow, Sophia, this is really bad. There's like 80 red flags here." Oh, don't worry. It gets much worse. Despite Bibi breaking the condition, Peter still wants to go out with Bibi, with the condition that Amy also comes along. Bibi reluctantly drags Amy along despite Amy's protest. At the amusement park Peter takes them to, Amy and Bibi get separated. They have a semi-cute outing in the same way that one movie date in Chainsaw Man was cute, as Bibi realizes that people have fun here every day, and that makes her very angry. Amy apologizes to Bibi for ruining her date with Peter. Bibi replies that she's never been to an amusement park, so Amy couldn't possibly ruin it. She then tells Amy that it's impossible for people not to fall in love with her. Bibi's loneliness has now converted into narcissism, and worst of all, her obsession has shifted from Peter to Amy herself. And that's where I'm gonna stop. Well, I could talk about Bibi's uncle Nick and how his trauma turns him into a negligent parent, or my theory that Peter is a serial killer, or Amy's aunt and how her misguided teachings ended up traumatizing Amy even more. I'll stop there because this is ultimately a recommendation video. I want you, the person watching this, to find out what happens next. Because, well, this is a really good read. And while I've been focusing on the darker aspects of the story because it is a pretty dark story, there's a lot of lighter aspects as well. As previously mentioned, Bibi and Amy have a cute baking sesh. Camilla's friends and their dim-witted attempts to get her to make up with Amy are also really fun. And the scenes where Amy and Camilla are kids are just precious. There's also a lot of funny gags, like the joke that no one wants to spend time with Camilla's dad, or the scene where Bibi is bored and sees someone getting abducted by aliens, and then walks away because she's bored. The humor in the series complements the darker themes well, because ultimately too much depressing stuff would be tedious, and the comedy never really distracts from the darker themes. It feels like a quick break, and makes sense because all these characters are like 16, and I remember from my vague good memories of high school that people were often dicking around. So it seems accurate. Another plus is the art style. I mean, just look at it, it's been on your screen the entire time. It's simultaneously small and cutesy and rigid and tense at the same time. The bright colors become harsh when something bad happens, but they also feel bright and colorful and inviting. It just works so well for either tone of the series. And as far as character designs go, I really love Bibi's design. Her pale skin, matched with her pink hard eyes, just make her look crazed, along with the purple outlines alongside them. It really cements that her one goal is love, and she's willing to do anything to get it. It's just a good character design, along with the rest of the cast, but Bibi really sticks out in my mind. Anyway, hopefully I've convinced you guys that this is a good read, and if not, I have sincerely failed. I'm Sophia, and I'm gonna go read Can't Define the Lonely Girl because reasons. Bye. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I recorded the audio for this months ago, which is why, I don't know, maybe it sounds slightly different, maybe it doesn't. I just wanted to say sorry for the different style of editing, and I resurrected this video from the grave because I originally scrapped it, because I needed to take a break on this massive project I'm working on, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, till next time I guess, bye.